The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Rex Ryan went after the New York Jets coaching staff in a rant on ESPN. And guess what? He's 1,000% right. We'll talk about it. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Reminder to any Jet fan who has extra tickets for the Jets and the Colts. Surprisingly, a ton of listeners have reached out saying they want to go. They want to take their child to their first game. They have family in town and they want to go to the game. Whatever the case may be, if anyone wants to donate their tickets, I will make sure they get in the hands of real Jet fans who can use them so we can get some diehards in the building on Sunday. Weather's supposed to be nice from what I've been told, so Jets and Colts, if you got extra tickets you don't want to use, I'd be happy to distribute those to those who could actually use them. A lot to talk about this morning involving the New York Jets, but we start with what Rex Ryan had to say on ESPN the other day, because you could tell it is eating Rex alive. It is killing him how bad this football team is. Not because they don't have the talent, but because of how poorly they are coached.
Bad stuff going on in Chicago right now. There was also a nightmarish day for the New York football teams yesterday. The Jets and Giants. The Giants played in Germany. We'll get to them. Let's start with the Jets, who got a lot better. What are you most fired up about?
Well, I just think that this team is absolutely awful. And look, I pick them all the time, and this week I knew not to, because they were going to play a physical football team. By the way, the most physical team generally wins the game, every single game in the National Football League. And I don't see it out of this bunch, all right? I see a defense that has tons of superstars, but does nothing to challenge the offense mentally. Nothing. They know exactly what the hell you're going to play. Hey, 3-week quarters. Oh, boy. Oh, one front. I mean, give me a break, all right? And then I'm seeing horrendous, got to be the worst offensive coaching staff in football. I mean, we talk about Chicago. This one's got to be right up there with it. Absolutely atrocious. Look, they get hit with the same blitz every damn week. Aaron Rodgers get hit from the blind side every damn week by a safety blitz. When are we going to fix that? Hey, and by the way, you've got two guys that are phenomenal receivers, Devontae Adams, and then this Garrett Wilson's a joke, how good he is, right? So man coverage, we're going to eat up, man. This is the team you asked for. Don't blame the damn owner now. He gave you everything you want, and you guys stink. You won 3 games. I mean, it's atrocious, and to me, man, oh, man, this offseason can't come soon enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we actually had the question up on the screen, is the Jets season over? The question is, the answer is, unfortunately not. The answer is, unfortunately, they have to play the rest of their games. I've been a fan of this team for 50 years, D. Wood. I've never enjoyed them less. You know, like I always say, being a fan of a team, when it's in your soul, you're always going to love them. I will love them no matter what. But I couldn't like them less than I like them. They are impossible to watch, impossible to root for. They play with no heart. They play with no fire. They play with absolutely no smarts. They are the worst team to root for in the 50 years that I've been rooting for this franchise.
Greeny represents how many longtime Jet fans feel. That's how I feel. I haven't rooted for the Jets for 50 years, but this is as bad as it's ever been. And to Rex's point, this team is one of the worst coach teams in the NFL, if not the worst coach team. In fact, Rex is saying the offensive staff is the worst in the league, which is probably true, because I would have told you maybe it's the Bears, or the Bears just fired Shane Waldron yesterday, so they're trying something different with their OC. I mean, offensively, the offense the Jets run is a joke. Defensively, the lack of any adjustments they continue to make is comical. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Jets are this great team with better coaching, but they're a lot better than 3-7. I still maintain that. I still look at this roster, and I look at the Jets compared to some of the other teams, in this league. And the Jets, talent-wise, are better, in some cases a lot better than some of the teams that they've lost to. Rex is 1,000% correct. The Jets in 2024 are the Chargers in 2023. Brandon Staley held that team back. This year, Robert Saleh / Jeff Ulbrich / this staff, Keith Carter, Nate Hackett, etc. They're holding this team back. Sean Payton is winning in Denver with a rookie quarterback and talent that can't even come close to the talent the Jets have. It's all coaching, man. And even if you say, okay, Jake, if the coaching's better, how much better do you think this team is? I mean, if they're not 7-3, they're at least 5-5. If they're 5-5, if Greg Zuerlein didn't miss the amount of kicks he missed before they placed him on injured reserve with an injury, this team is better than the record. They should not be 3-7. The GM failed him with the kicking situation. Zuerlein also has got to hit kicks. It's on him. But he shouldn't have been allowed to lose the amount of games he did. And the coaching on this team is so bad defensively. They allowed Jacoby Brissett, with the game on the line, to go right down the field and beat them. When the offense did its job that day, they scored 25 points. Rodgers and the offense went down the field and scored a touchdown, making New England have to go the full distance and not hit a field goal to tie the game. And they lost that game. They don't lose that game with better coaching. You don't lose that game if, like, Rex, for example, was the head coach. And I'm not even advocating for Rex to get the job. I'm just saying this team with better coaching is not 3-7. And it was the wrong move to obviously fire Robert Saleh when they fired him. But even if they kept Robert Saleh, I don't think this team was going anywhere. Let's not forget the way this team played against Denver at home. Let's not forget the way this team showed up against San Francisco week 1. Yes, it's week 1, but that was a precursor to the debacle that was this season. They got killed that night, and they had all offseason to prepare for that team. Then you fast forward to the Denver debacle. That was still Robert Saleh. How flat they came out against Minnesota and London down 17-0. That was still Robert Saleh. So it got worse with Ulbrich, but let's not pretend like, this team was a well-oiled machine with Robert Saleh, and Woody was incredibly wrong to fire a coach who was 20-36. It was the wrong move, but we all discussed the possibility of Saleh being fired after that Bills game or after the Steelers game. It was going to happen either way at some point this year, it feels like. Where you can get on Woody is going into the year with Saleh if the leash was apparently that short. But to Rex's point, this is the team we wanted. He's right. This is the team we wanted. We all believed in the talent on the team. We all believed when you looked at the roster, it was their most talented team since Rex was the head coach in 2010. I still maintain that. I still do believe that. You look at the names on this team. If you were doing a draft, Bob Wischusen made this point yesterday on ESPN New York. If you were doing a draft of just the top players in the league, the Jets would have some guys who'd be going pretty early in that draft. It's coaching, man. And that's why, yes, they need a new general manager. Douglas, I mean, he's gone. He's a dead GM walking. But they need a better coach. They need someone who could steer the ship. And I'm tired of guys learning on the job. Yes, Rex was a first-time coach when they hired him and hasn't been good since. I get it. But I think it's too risky to hire another defensive coordinator who's never done it. Unless it's Ben Johnson, I really don't want the first-time offensive coordinator who's never been a head coach before. It's a completely different role. A completely different role. I really like Aaron Glenn. Love the backstory of his history with the franchise. I know that he would love this job. But I don't want another defensive coordinator who's never done it. I need someone with experience. I don't think it has to be offensive or defensive guy. It has to be someone who has done it, who's been a CEO, who has winning pedigree. And the name that jumps out to me is Mike Vrabel. That's my number one guy right now. This guy won a lot with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. And for those saying, well, he's a defensive guy, well, this is the guy who's hired 2 offensive coordinators who were poached away from his staff to become head coaches, Matt LaFleur and Arthur Smith. So this guy has an ability to hire competent offensive play callers, which is what this team's going to need if they're going to hire a defensive coach. But they need someone that's no nonsense, that holds guys accountable, that's not trying to be buddy-buddy with the players. They tried that with Saleh. Obrick's even more of a player's coach because he played in the league than Saleh is. And even though Vrabel played in the league, he's a hard ass. He holds guys accountable. That's a guy they need. Someone like that. They need Kevin Stefanski if the Browns were to fire him because they're having a disastrous season. I'm interviewing Rex. I'm interviewing John Gruden. I'm interviewing guys with experience. And if you're going to go with the offensive guy, Todd Monken, he's not like your typical wonder kid. The guy's 58, but he's won everywhere he's been. Those are the guys I need. I don't need the first-time coach who's never done it, who's learning on the job. Because I truly do believe when you look at this Jets team, they're the Chargers from a year ago. They do have talent. You don't need to blow this whole thing up. Yeah, there's questions about Rodgers. Is he here next year or is he not? But I'm telling you, this version of Aaron Rodgers, even if it's diminished, which obviously it is, he's not what he was, has been good enough to win more than 3 games this year. It has. He was awful on Sunday, but so was the defense. They never had a chance in that game. But he gave you a chance to win the New England game. He gave you a chance to win the Buffalo game. He gave you a chance, as bad as everyone was, against Denver to win that game. If Zerline hit the kick, he put you in field goal range. So I'm not telling you Rodgers has been great. He hasn't been. I thought he'd be better than this. But we were asked for competent quarterback play, and this team would win games. Well, the defense is nowhere close to what it is. And Michael Nadia ran through the stats. This is telling. Compare last year's Jets to this year's Jets. Let's just go by DVOA, which is the ultimate measure of efficiency for each unit on the team. Last year, the Jets were 32nd in offense. This year, they're 19th. Defensive-wise, they were 3rd. This year, they're 21st. Last year, special teams, they were 5th. This year, they're 29th. Overall, last year, they were 25th. This year, they're 22nd. Think about that. So, yeah, the offense has actually been better, but it doesn't matter because of how bad the other 2 units of the team have been. The defense, which was top 3 last year, is not a top 10 defense right now. The special teams, which was automatic last year, other than Thomas Morstead this year, it has not been good. Zerline stinks, we know that, but Herb Charles is good for a penalty every game that's a backbreaker. They get nothing in the return game from Gibson at either kickoffs or punting. It's a different team. So even though Rodgers has not been Rodgers, it's still so frustrating because I think the coaching is that bad. It's destroying the team. And obviously, the defense is nowhere near what it's been. And that's what's so frustrating. But this team needs to hire the right head coach. Right head coach and competent quarterback play. And they're not 3-7 right now. They have at least a few more wins, and they're alive. I mean, the bottom of the AFC is so mediocre. This would be such an easy year for the Jets to break this playoff drought, the bare minimum. And they're not even going to be able to do that. It's just brutal. But Rex is right. Comments, questions, super chats, we'll cut the line. If you missed the major announcement yesterday, until Ahmad Gardner starts playing like Sauce Gardner, our new emoji for Ahmad is the Matt O'Leary and Sauce emoji. Thank you to everyone who gifted a membership to help make this happen. For those who don't get the reference, Sauce took the Twitter, as he always does, and then deleted the tweet where he basically challenged Matt O'Leary to play corner in the NFL for a week. So Matt O'Leary is now CB1 until proven otherwise. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Thank you all for supporting the show. We are seeking new Patreon subscribers. We're approaching 500. Couldn't do it without everyone on the Patreon. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. You get access to the Discord, 15% off every merch item, bonus shows that are not on YouTube, and a heck of a lot more. So check it out at Patreon.com Jake Asman Show. We are presented today by SeatGeek. Jet fans, if you're looking for tickets for Jets Colts, listen up. Hey, Asmaniacs, I'm here to talk about SeatGeek, one of our great sponsors right here on the channel. Get your tickets for Sunday's Jets Colts game by using the SeatGeek app with over 28 million downloads. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, including sports, concerts, festivals, and more. For this Sunday's Jets Colts game, you can get great tickets using the SeatGeek app. Use promo code JakeAsman and you'll get $20 off your tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code JakeAsman. And of course, if you don't know about SeatGeek, here's what you need to know. They have all the best deals on tickets for really anything. Each ticket rated on a scale of 1 through 10. So look for the green dots in the app. Green means good, red means bad, and you are going to know the type of deal you are getting. Once again, if you're looking for tickets for the Jets game against the Colts on Sunday, use promo code JakeAsman after you download the SeatGeek app, and you will save $20 off. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Thanks to SeatGeek for being a great sponsor of the Jake Asman Show. Check it out, people. $20 off. Some of these tickets are going for like 30-something bucks, meaning you basically could go to a Jet game for like $10 if you use SeatGeek and use my promo code. Shout out to SeatGeek for being a part of our show. Super chat from Captain Swanson. Jake, you are a talent truther. Wake up, we are bad. I guess you don't listen to a word I'm saying. Obviously, they're bad. But the reasons why they're bad in the past has been, well, the talent is god-awful. How do you even judge the coaching? Well, I could tell you the talent is better than a lot of teams, and you could judge the coaching by the fact they're 3-7 with this talent. You clearly don't listen. So, unfortunately, I don't have patience for you. Your day is done.
You're a neo-maxi-zoom dweeby.
I can't, man. KJH says, thoughts on the leadership group. All have worked together. President of football, John Dorsey. GM, Ray Agnew. Head coach, Aaron Glenn. OC, Tanner Eggstrand. So you want to basically raid the Lions organization. Not a bad idea. I'm more open to Aaron Glenn if you're bringing Agnew with him, because I think Agnew might be the top GM candidate. He's Brad Holmes' right-hand man. 25 in the house. This season got me missing the 2022 season, man. I'm not. That season was fun until Mike White got hurt. They were winning games in spite of Zach Wilson. Brees goes down. AVT goes down. They were never the same offense after that. You're missing the 2022 season when they were 7-4 and then collapsed. See, it's funny. Everyone wants to blame Aaron Rodgers, right? This team was bad before he got here. They didn't know how to win. They didn't know how to deal with adversity. They were 7-4. They finished 7-10. They ended the year on a 6-game losing streak. I don't miss the 2022 season. You know what I miss 25? I miss 2009. I miss 2010 when this team actually had some pride and won football games or won playoff games. That's what I miss. 2022. I don't miss that season at all. They were 7-4 and then lost 6 in a row to end the year. It was disastrous. 25, unless you're like 16, and that's the only like modicum of somewhat Jet success you've seen, you do not miss 2022. 2022 did give us this game, though. Did give us this rant. Well, we start with the quarterback. All right, I'm going to get into it. We'll take your calls. I'm sure the Zach Truthers will try and make excuses for Zach Wilson. Enough. He sucked. He was god-awful. And tonight was Zach Wilson's last start as the Jet quarterback ever. Barring injury, he's done. I'm sorry. I hate saying it. It's not personal. He seems like a nice kid. He's not the answer. He's not. Sorry. I don't want to hear any other takeaway from this game. You want to blame the offensive line? Sure, blame them. They were not good tonight. You want to blame the defense? That's the laziest take, and we're not allowing it. The defense allowed 19 points. That's a bad effort. They're on the field the entire game because this quarterback stinks. And I like Zach Wilson. I've defended Zach Wilson. I've tried to be patient with Zach Wilson, but it's enough. Zach Wilson truthers, he stinks. The guy is terrible. He stinks. All right? Stop defending him. He's got the lowest passer rating in the NFL this season, the lowest completion percentage in the NFL this season. He had the lowest passer rating in the NFL last season. He had the lowest completion percentage in the NFL last season. He hasn't gotten better. I was patient with Zach because he does have talent, because he does have potential, but it's not working. It is not working. He is not the guy. This team is too good to be 7-8. All right, this defense had a, quote, bad game. They give up 19 points. 19. How dare the defense do anything? Come on, man. The quarterback stinks. He's not the guy. He has not improved. He has not gotten better. He is the same quarterback we saw last year. I defended him last year because we saw flashes. You see that from rookies. Then they get better. You know who got better? Trevor Lawrence got better. All right, watching some of the throws he made tonight. You know who got better? Justin Fields got better. Zach Wilson hasn't gotten better, period. You need your quarterback to make plays. They had 3 points against a Jaguars defense that allows over 23 a game. They're a bottom third defense. You're at home. Your season's on the line. And you scored 3 freaking points. Enough. Enough. I'm not dealing with the Zach Wilson truthers. If you're a Zach Wilson truther, you're out. You're not on the show. You're gone. We're not doing it. If your takeaway from this game is not that the quarterback is holding this team back, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. Seek help. I know I need help because I sat in MetLife and I'm going to have pneumonia from this garbage. Enough. I'm tired of it, man. This team is too good to be 7-8. They were 6-3. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. They have everything in place besides a franchise quarterback. And I don't know if Mike White's the guy, but I know he gives the team a better chance to win the last 2. And then I'll bring him back, and I'll bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, or I'll beg for Aaron Rodgers to come here, or I'll beg Derek Carr to come here. I don't know, but I do know the answer is not you run it back with Zach Wilson because, Jake, he needs more time. Enough. He's not playing well. He's playing awful right now. And the second any quarterback comes in, the offense magically looks better. Explain that. Oh, but it's Mike LaFleur's fault. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Enough.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'd like to be 7-8 right now instead of 3-7. That's what I think about when I think of the 2022 season, though. I don't miss that at all. Super chat from Bo. He cuts the line. If you're tuned in live right now, hit the like button. Shout out to all the Asmaniacs out there for continuing to support the show, despite the Jets being a nightmare to support themselves. Not one of us would care about a loss, but we actually saw some heart and passion out there. How are these other teams doing it with far less talent? Coaching, man. Coaching. I mean, that's why Rex is so passionate, because he sees it. Bang Mateo in the house. Jake, I thought you were going to lose it on X this morning when Vince called you a Rodgers truther. That Petey guy is a blowhard. Bang. Don't go after my guy, Petey. Petey's a good dude. A loyal Jet fan. That guy was trying to troll me, but I wasn't going to take the bait. He was a Wilson truther, which I did love. But Bang, come on, man. You're going after my guy, Petey? We can't stand for this.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser. Good. Good.
We'll see you in 5, Bang. All right, comments, questions, super chats. They will cut the line. Robert writes in, we need to trade for Flacco before the Colts game.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out.
This is where we're at these days, talking about this team. God. Mikey, Bart Scott for coach. If he wants to do it. I mean, he'd probably be taking a pay cut. Let's see. Heather says, start deducting players' salaries for underperforming. That would solve the problem. You're not allowed to do that. You can't just deduct a player's salary. They're under contract. They're agreed upon. 25 writes in, I'm 24, but my point is the 2022 season was more promising. Don't think we sniffed 7 wins this year. We thought we were a quarterback away. Clearly not. Well, here's the thing with people saying, Jake, I thought they were a quarterback away. Yeah, if this team lived up to the potential we thought they were going to be, I thought they were. Last year, we just ran through the numbers. Last year, the defense was 3rd in DVOA. This year, they're 21st. Last year, the special teams was 5th in DVOA. This year, they're 29th. Last year, the offense was 32nd. This year, they're 19th. They've been a better offense this year. The problem is the other areas of the team we thought were going to hold up their end of the bargain have been abysmal at times. Boomtown writes in, Jake, what did you think of the CFL playoff game you went to in Montreal? Boomtown, I got some sad news for you. We didn't end up making it to the game. There were some other activities that unfortunately got in the way. So we did not get to the game. There were not enough tickets for everyone who wanted to go. We did watch it at one of the bars we were at, though. I was rooting for Montreal, but I saw Toronto won. Tough. Dante with a super chat. I missed this, Dante. I apologize. That would be my strategy. I want experience. Ben is great, but I want someone who's done it before and was good. Mike Vrabel's number one on my list. Number one on my list. Accountability, culture, winning with different quarterbacks, hiring an offensive staff where 2 of his offensive coordinators ended up getting head coaching jobs. I mean, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I look, whoever they hire, the biggest thing is just get it right, but I feel like you have a better chance of getting it right if you're hiring a guy that has previous head coaching experience. I'm also interviewing Cliff Kingsbury, offensive guy, maybe second time around he'd be better. I'm definitely talking to John Gruden. I don't care what anyone says. You want someone to come in and hold guys accountable, be tough, offensive guy, hires a good staff, John Gruden. Still knows the game. Talking to John Gruden for sure. Plus, if we're going to be bad no matter who we hire, at least we'll be entertaining with Chucky. You know? At least it'll give me a lot to talk about on this show. But look, at the end of the day, you should talk to everyone. Talk to Pete Carroll. I know he's 73, but if you're going to try and basically retool, let Pete Carroll come in and try and get a couple years here. Why not? Can't be worse than what we've seen. Kyle says 25 is 24 WTF. That was my thought. Anthony writes in, to be fair, Vrabel was .545 in Tennessee. They had 2 good years, but it was a lot more mediocre football there. That's not fair. He went to an AFC championship game with Ryan Tannehill. Come on. Mike Vrabel very rarely had an overly talented roster, but his teams were known for getting the most out of their talent. They were well coached. They beat the Chiefs a couple of times head-to-head. Mike Vrabel in Tom Brady's last game in New England went in there in a playoff game and made Tom Brady look awful, and they won. He was 54-45 in 6 years in Tennessee. They ranked 15th in offensive EPA, 17th in defensive EPA. They also ranked 9th in scoring defense, 14th in offensive EPA per play, 2nd in rushing offense. This guy could build an elite rushing attack. You have 2 elite running backs, I think. Certainly one in Brees, and I think Allen could be a really good player. I mean, he won at least 9 games in his first 4 years there. The Jets haven't won 9 or more games in a decade. We're going to say Mike Vrabel was mediocre. If Mike Vrabel's mediocre, what would you call what the Jets have been? I'm not even going to go back to 2011, right? Which is a year after they last made the playoffs. They were 8-8. They were 8-8 in 2011. The Jets were 8-8 in 2013. I thought that was one of Rex's best coaching jobs. Like, crazy to go 8-8 with that team. They were 10-6 in 2015. And that's it. Mike Vrabel, when he was a head coach for 6 years, right? He won at least 9 games in his first 4 years. They made the playoffs in 3 of those years. Made the AFC Championship game in his 2nd year. And you're going to try and diminish Mike Vrabel's resume? Brother, have you seen who the Jets have hired? Our big move to try and help our young quarterback get better was hire Adam Gase. I'll take Mike Vrabel in a second, and I'll tell Mike Vrabel, you pick the GM you want to work with. So you're aligned with that guy. See, sometimes I think you got to hire the GM first. if you're doing like a big rebuild. I don't think that's the case with the Jets. I think you get the coach in place and let the coach, if it's the right coach, right? If it's of Vrabel, if it's even Ben Johnson, right? Can you bring Ray Agnew with you? Like, but Vrabel, I think, is the guy here. Another name I'll mention with experience, I'm talking to Brian Flores. Guy overachieved in Miami. Obviously, there were some things he'd want back. His relationship with Tua was much maligned. But you know what? I'm sure he's learned from it. That's another guy who I think with a second opportunity will be better off. More of your super chats coming in. Bo writes in, start writing contracts that don't allow social media. Make these players drop off their phones in a bucket the minute they enter the building. A couple things here. One, you can't do that. And two, even if you had them not on their phones when they're in the facility, Sauce's tweets happened when they were not in the facility. He wasn't tweeting at Matt O'Leary when he was in the Jet building. What a storyline. Matt O'Leary. Jay writes in, Ben Johnson 1, Monken 2, Flores 3. Fine. Sign me up. Mike writes in, would Rex take a DC job? He's not coming back to the Jets to be a DC. You know what I would love, though? Give me Mike Vrabel as the head coach and Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator if the Giants fire Dable. Now that's a staff. I bet you Dable gets a ton out of Rodgers if he's back next year, and you draft a quarterback and that guy gets to sit. I've been asked a lot about Rodgers' future. I think the next 7 games will tell us a lot. If he's still trending like a competent quarterback, he might want to come back with a new coach. If he's washed, he might just call it a career and retire. But I think either way, whether Rodgers is here next year or not, this is a franchise that needs to draft a quarterback, and that guy should sit. Big fella says, give us Gruden or Monken. All right. Look, I'm in on John Gruden. I'm interviewing him. I'm talking to him. I'm gauging his interest in the job. I think he would definitely be interested. Rick says, Vrabel hired Keith Carter and Downing. That alone eliminates him for me. Downing is not awful. He's not great, but his other 2 offensive coordinators hire Rick that became head coaches. Mike Vrabel is a winner, man. All right. I don't think Arthur Smith is particularly great, but you know what? Tomlin hired him, and look, the Steelers are 7-2 right now. It starts with the head coach, man. That's the biggest hire. And then you let the head coach pick a staff he's comfortable with. Stefanski, if available, he probably would be number 1 on my list if he becomes available. I just can't believe we're having this conversation, but that's where we're at. The coaching search will dominate the headlines, but the GM search is going to be very important as well. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, and super chats. We'll cut the line. Lawrence writes in, I need a D's nuts explosion in my life. Now, for those of you who are not regular viewers of the show, you're probably deeply disturbed by Lawrence's comment. These nuts. And that's why I love this show. Because you got to be here every day to get that reference. Anyway, let's get to your calls now. The Gusbuster hotline. The great Indy Jets will start us off this morning. What's up, Indy?
Jake, I just love the Sauce O'Leary taking over QB1. I think that's just awesome.
Look, I honestly, if Sauce wanted some good PR, here's what he does in the offseason. Once we forget about this year, we try to be positive and look forward. Sauce should do this in I'll say early July of next year, before training camp. He should invite Matt O'Leary out, and they should have a a practice together and film it, and it'd be really funny for the fans. That's what I would do if I were Sauce to rectify this.
Or at least come on his show. I mean, something. I think, and maybe he can get the Sauce name back, because right now I'm giving it to O'Leary. I'm just gonna start calling him Sauce from now on because he's earned it.
So what should we call O'Leary though? Should we call him Sauce O'Leary?
Sauce, yeah, because I don't. It's kind of like D's nuts. I don't know if I want to go with O'Leary Sauce.
Yep, I feel like Sauce O'Leary probably works.
Yeah, but so here's my question: we have our captains on the team, but who in the hell is our leaders? I mean, do you ever see, you said you referenced back in 2009 and 2010. We know who the defensive leaders were. I mean, we talked about it. Bart Scott was I mean, he was the captain of the team, but he led that team. We don't have CJ Mosley. I mean, he's only played 16% of the snaps all year. Who's our leader? We got rid of our leader on our captain on our special teams. Hardy left. And I don't believe Aaron Rodgers, as good of a quarterback as he is a great leader. I don't think he leads these guys. I mean, he talks about them after the game, but I don't see him being the leader that I mean, his talent kind of overshadowed, I think, his ability or his lack of ability to lead. So who's our leader? That's what I mean. Who's our leaders on our teams? I don't know. I haven't been able to see it.
I think they have a leadership void, and I think it was and I talked about it at the time. I thought it was alarming that Devontae, who at the time was on the team for 5 minutes, immediately realized how flawed the locker room was, and called him out after the Steelers game, right? And said hey, this is not right. This is not normal. I don't know. I think they got a real problem in that room. And the leadership is you want a player-driven locker room, but you also need leadership from the coaching staff, which there is none. So that's a huge problem too.
Yeah, we don't have the coaching staff leadership, and we don't have the leadership on the field as the players. And that's why we're 3-7. I mean, I think, I don't think Saleh was all that bad. I just don't think, he wasn't the greatest leader, but he had no leadership on the field, no accountability on the field. Part of it's his fault. You got Sauce doing stupid shit off the field. At least they're not getting in legal trouble. Okay, great. But, man, where's that accountability when Aaron Rodgers calls somebody out right in the middle of the game? I just don't see that anymore. I don't see that. I mean, hell, we saw that with Sanchez sometimes. He would show emotion. And he wasn't a good quarterback, but at least he showed some emotion. I don't see Aaron Rodgers showing any of that on-field emotion. He's just always so, I don't know, California. I don't know what you want to call it.
Andy, good call, man. I do think there's a real leadership issue on this team. I do. I think it starts with the coaching staff. I think it's hard when you're losing like this too. The woe is me, same old Jets has engulfed this year's team. It's tough, man. And these problems, they don't get solved till we get a new staff in here, a new regime, and that's what sucks. Mike Greenberg made a funny comment. I thought in that clip that we played of Rex to open the show. It's the question is the Jets season over? Unfortunately, not. There's still 7 games left. That's the problem. That's the problem. Roger says Bobby Midnight will hold players accountable and asses in a stick. He might be right. Bo with a super chat. I agree with Vrabel, but how do you coach unwillingness to tackle or undisciplined penalties or the heart to turn things around when they go bad? You believe in your leader. That's how. You play for the guy next to you. You establish a culture of accountability. That starts in the offseason. That starts in training camp. That's how. Have the Chargers do it. Oh, they hired Jim Harbaugh. They have a worse roster, you could argue, than what they put out in the field last year. Last year, they had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen in that receiver room. Who's the best receiver on the Chargers this year? Who are their superstars on defense? They have a couple nice players. They're not what they were. How are they 6-3? Coaching, man. How are the Steelers 7-2 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? It's coaching. You need the quarterback. That's still a prerequisite. But you also need coaching, man. You need an elite quarterback to probably win a Super Bowl. But forget the Super Bowl for us Jet fans. Let's have a winning year. Let's make the playoffs and then build from there. That's the only way to do it. You need a coach to have any chance. They don't have a coach. They were poorly coached with Saleh. They're not coached right now with Ulbrich and Saleh's staff still being here. There's not. Kyle Clifton, what if the Jets hire Arthur Smith? Is Bang banished? Bang better gift 50 memberships. Otherwise, he gone. See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, more of your phone calls right now on the Gusbuster hotline. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'm convinced you're not actually a Jet fan. Those are the rules. No one's gifted a membership yet, but if you want one, you got to be subscribed to the channel and like the video. So stay on the lookout for that. All right, more of your calls. Let's say hello to this guy.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he's not on the toilet.
Hey Jake, what's up? How you doing?
Hello, V-Man.
Yeah. So you repping the Knicks after a good victory?
Very good victory. Yeah, Philly.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have had my Knicks. Hold on, let me join you. I'll be right back. That's better. So I agree with you on Vrabel. I agree with you very much on the Vrabel take. Because it's a good testament how good a coach is. It's not just when they're there; it's what happens when they're gone. And, we can look at it right now. The early returns are not looking positive for the Titans in terms of hiring Vrabel.
They're also going through a rebuild, but Mike Vrabel, I think, has proven he's a very good coach.
I like Vrabel. I would like the idea if the Giants do fire their head coach, bring him in as an OC. Because I think his work with Josh Allen speaks volumes, and maybe he might be able to squeeze some more juice out of Aaron Rodgers if Aaron Rodgers decides to stay. And then if Stefanski gets cut, if he gets cut from Cleveland, you obviously got to grab him because anybody that can turn the Browns around is clearly knows what he's doing. Because
Stefanski's made the playoffs in Cleveland twice. He's been coach of the year twice. He's won a playoff game there. I think the guy could coach. I would hire him in a second.
Absolutely. Anybody who can turn that franchise into any bottom of respectability deserves a look at if he gets fired. So those are the two. Ben Johnson, maybe, it's like I get like the nervousness of hiring the inexperienced guy, but I think the Jets need somebody here that's going to just set down a standard for how the players set a standard here, set a culture that's going to put this team in the right direction. Because I agree with you that the Jets there is talent here. It's just they're not coached well. You look at it. Like I said, these guys have gotten accolades. You don't get accolades if you're not talented. You don't win Defensive Rookie of the Year. You don't make Pro Bowls. You don't make All Pros if you're not talented. If you don't have talent. And I think lost in his head. I think he's spent too much time on social media, and I think the coaching staff isn't doing what's necessary to squeeze the most talent out of him, to squeeze the best play out of him.
I agree with you, man. Now, here's a question I have for you. Why is your internet Ricky NY level bad today?
I have no idea. Maybe I should stop calling from my phone and maybe just switch to my desktop from now on.
I think you should.
All right. Well, I'll just get off before it gets any worse. Peace.
Well, V-Man, your internet is a lot like the Jet season. Brutal.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Thank you, V-Man. Comments, questions, super chats, they cut the line. Steven writes in with a super chat. CJ missing has been catastrophic. Leaders lead. Losing a step or not, he's a player who exudes, not on my watch. This defense was his defense. I agree. People just miss that injury, not me. He's the captain. He's the leader. And it's tough to be a captain and a leader when you're not playing. It just is. He's also good against the run. He would get guys in the right positions. I don't think they'd be this bad against the run if Mosley was out there healthy. No one talks about that, though. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to more of your calls coming up here. If you're just tuning in, hit the like button. It helps the channel continue to grow. We're always looking for more channel members as well. So make sure you hit the join button and become an Asmaniac if you haven't already. Let's say hello right now to this guy.
The biggest mistake they made is not firing this whole crew of shitheads before the season started. The coaches can't make decisions. They don't correct anything. I mean, this is a joke.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Jake. How are you?
Fantastic.
Jake, the problem with this team for the last few years has been the coaching. And the reason why they're still here is because Aaron Rodgers endorsed them all. Otherwise, they would have been gone. I really believe that. Hackett stinks. He's already been demoted, but he's still there. All right? I knew Solid stunk, and Ulbrich is showing his true colors. He's not a coach. I mean,
he's not a head coach. He's
definitely not a head coach, and I got news for you. He's not even a good defensive coordinator. I mean, he makes no adjustments. Just look at our defense. He can't correct anything. How come?
I think he's in over his head. I do. I think he should give up defensive play calling and let someone else do it. I think he's stretched too thin.
That's why I thought initially they should have made Middleton the head coach and let him stay on defense. Because if you watch the defense and like Clemens, he loses the edge all the time. He rushes inside. I mean, it's a constant problem with this team. It never ends. There's no adjustments made. And if you think that they're going to beat Miami, they're not winning anything. They're not even going to beat Miami. They stink. They absolutely stink. And I don't see where the improvement's coming. There's no fire. There's no coach that's doing anything. I don't see the offense is 1950. I mean, come on. You got to come up into today's world. They're running a 1950 offense. And if you really watch these games, it's almost like Rodgers is calling the play in the huddle, and these guys are going out and he's throwing a ball and they're not there. They're not there. Do they practice together? I mean, it's gotten to the point of it's absolutely ridiculous. That game on Sunday was a total embarrassment. A total embarrassment. I don't know how they could even look in the mirror. And Sauce Gardner's on. I got news for you. If Sauce Gardner had coaching, he'd be fine. He needs somebody to sit down with him and go over everything. Nobody's coaching these guys. He's a great cover guy. Teach him to tackle. He's got to stick his head in there. I mean, this hasn't just started either. The first game of the season, I don't know if you remember or not, but San Francisco was running right at him. And then he was out of the game for some reason. They pulled him out of the game. I think they pulled him out of the game because he wasn't tackling. Somebody said something on the sidelines. And now he has a new thing that he does that I've been watching. You know, when he gets beat, he fakes a foot injury. He lays down for a little bit. He goes out for a play or two. Then he's back. It's all mental.
Would you have made this tackle, Peter?
I can make that tackle today at my age.
I love it.
I would have never let him go, and he should have grabbed him, but he's weak. He's weak. The whole team is weak. They're soft. They're like a bunch of even Quentin Williams. Who's the brother that made the hit on Murray? Quincy. He hits him 100 miles ball out. All right, coming in that clean. He should have knocked the ball out. He's halfway down the field doing a dance with his come on. I mean, these guys are brainless. They're brain dead. I've never seen anything like it. We got to get Grable, Flores. We need a coach that's tough. That's not going to put up with this shit. And when we get that coach, we'll get somewhere.
Peter, I hope you're right. All right? I hope you're right.
Hey, Kevin, you learned yet?
Ladies and gentlemen, The great Peter Castro.
Our coaching staff stinks. The team is never prepared. They're undisciplined. They make a million mistakes. And the coaching staff is terrible. He doesn't know what he's doing. Hackett and him are like having two drug addicts on the sidelines. They're no good. And if Rodgers doesn't fix this, we're all going to kill ourselves. What happens after Rodgers? They have no plan for that. It's going to be 10 more years of being shit.
I was not 10 more years because we reached that point. What happens after Rodgers? We're here, baby. He might still be a Jet, but we're talking post-Rodgers already in November. Not after the Super Bowl win in February, in November. Bo writes in, we should count how many times Jake says brutal. This team is brutal, Bo. So it will be a high number. A lot of people want in on the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is...
Warning! Warning! Allen alert! Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning! Allen alert! Hide the children!
Hello, Alan.
Good morning, Jake. First of all, a great win for my Atlanta Hawks last night, minus Trae Young. That was fantastic.
Who'd they play?
They won in Boston, 117-116 without
Wow.
Trae Young.
I didn't even know that.
Great
Nice.
win. Great win. I love Peter Castro, but didn't that fool predict 14-3?
He did predict 14-3. Yep.
Oh, okay. The problem is he's hanging out with Neil too much. Okay, so I think he needs to pipe down a little bit. A couple of comments. You mentioned some really good guys in Rabel and Stefanski and Dable and other guys, but the elephant in the room is none of these guys are coming here if 8 is here. I just don't believe it. None of these guys are going to want to deal with that guy. I'm sorry. They need to completely clean house, honestly.
Well, you let the GM and coach decide what they want to do with Rodgers. It's not the other way around.
Which quality GM is going to come here knowing that Rodgers is coming back next year? I don't think anybody.
It's not up to Rodgers, though. They could cut him.
I know, but the problem is Rodgers is too much into the owner's ear. That's the issue.
Yeah, but I don't think he has the sway that he once did because the team has been terrible this year.
I hope you're right. I worry that Woody is so enamored with him based on his past success that he will basically kowtow to him and basically say, you know what? It's up to you, Rodgers. You get to pick with the next GM. It better not happen that way. So honestly,
I don't think it will happen. If Rodgers was still playing at a high level, we wouldn't be having this conversation about a new GM anyway. Douglas would still be here. So
totally agree with you, but I worry about the owner. I really do.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to tell you not to worry about the owner. I mean, the owner doesn't deserve the benefit of that. I'm just looking at the situation, and I think clearly if you want a top guy, you have to basically say, whether it's the coach, if it's Vrabel, then you let him have influence in the GM he works with, or you hire a GM first, and then that guy picks the coach. You have to have that person have authority, autonomy on what the direction of the team's going to be, and that includes, do you bring Rodgers back for a year and draft someone, or are you just cutting him? And you're starting a rookie next year and you're going with a quasi rebuild. I think it depends on what that GM wants to do.
Best for this organization is to cut bait, whether it's take the $49 million hit or spread it over 2 years. As far as Rex Ryan is concerned, I laugh every time that guy talks. I mean, if he wants to lobby for a job, it's pretty funny, his approach about just destroying this team day after day.
He's right, though.
I don't think he's wrong at all. I think he's absolutely right. Trust me, if Rex Ryan is the coach right now, Sauce Gardner would see the bench this week. Just the way he's talking.
Well, I bet you if Rex Ryan was the coach, this team wouldn't be this bad fundamentally. They would not have 20 missed tackles in the game. They'd be more physical. They would play to the talent they do have on the team.
I don't think you're wrong there. I just think that time has passed. If he wants to come back and be a DC, that's fine. There's no way I'm hiring him as a head coach. He can come back and be a DC, but I agree with you. I don't think he's coming back unless he gets full autonomy. John Gruden is just a name that just sounds so perfect because he fits certain needs. He's an offensive guy. He's no nonsense. Again, as you mentioned, he got screwed over by the league. But do you think Woody Johnson would have the balls to basically stray away from his ownership buddies and basically tell the head of the league, you know what? I'm going to interview John Gruden, and if I like him, I'm going to hire him. That's the problem. I just don't think he'll do it.
I do. John
You think
Gruden.
he will do it?
Yeah, every report out there is that Gruden wants to get back in, and that he'll be able to get back in. His lawsuit's about money. If he gets a head coaching job, he'll drop the lawsuit and be able to coach in the NFL again.
But do you worry that if Gruden gets this job, he'll alienate some players based on his past comments? That's the problem I have with the fragility of some of the players nowadays.
Players love him. They love him. His comments were not made about any players on his team. He called Goodell a word that is not appropriate in today's society anymore, and he made fun of DeMaurice Smith, who's the ex-NFLPA head. What he said was wrong. He has since apologized, but we're also talking about emails from 15 years ago, right? People make mistakes. I'm not going to hold it against John Gruden if he wants this job and the Jets hire him. I think Woody wants to win. So if that's the best guy for the job, I'm going to be serious about interviewing him and finding out if I want to hire him.
He'd be a top of my list, absolutely. But again, the bottom line is nothing changes here until 8 goes. And I think it's time for him to go. Unfortunately, I was happy they brought him here. I was gung-ho they brought him here. It just hasn't worked. That's the bottom line. You expected great success last year. He got injured 4 plays in, and this year he's showing that he's a 41-year-old quarterback. Nothing changes until they clean house, and unfortunately, that includes the quarterback.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there is a path where Rodgers is here next year and you draft someone. I mean, I still think he's better than some of the other options you're going to have. I don't think you need to get rid of Rodgers necessarily. I want to see how these next 7 games go. What version of Rodgers do we get down the stretch here? There's been moments this year he's looked good. There's obviously been moments he's been terrible. But I think this idea that, you couldn't hire John Gruden, I'm not buying that. I'm not. Not in today's society. I'm not buying it. Space Ghost writes in, call me crazy, but I want Gruden. He would chew out these divas on the team, and sadly, at this point, we need some of that. Yeah, if Gruden would alienate some of the players, good. Then those aren't the players you want. I don't think he'd alienate the players either. I think this team wants toughness. I think this team will respond to tougher coaching. There's talent here. Talent wants to be coached. Great players want to be coached. And if they don't, they're the wrong players anyway. Get them out. Jamal Adams was talented. Wrong player. Get him out. That was a good move by Douglas. That's what you need. Cactus says, Gruden's the closest thing we can get to a Parcells-type hire, which is what we desperately need. I disagree. I think Vrabel's closer to Parcells. Vrabel's done it more recently. Vrabel, to me, is more of a no-nonsense Parcells kind of guy. Played for Belichick. Belichick, obviously, from the Parcells tree. I think there's more of a connection to Parcells with Vrabel than Gruden, but I would take either at this point. Vrabel's number 1 on my list. I want a guy who's done. My big thing is I'm tired of these guys coming here. They've never been head coaches before. They're learning on the job. Yes, it worked with Rex. To some extent, it obviously worked with Herm. Mangini made the playoffs in year 1. But since Rex, they tried with Bowles. It failed. Then they pivot from Todd Bowles to Adam Gase. Never should have been hired. Disaster from the beginning. Then they tried with Saleh. Your last 3 coaches have all failed. I need more of a sure thing. Guy who's done it before. Tony G, I would take Gruden, though. We'd be at least 9-8. I mean, it's possible. I'll tell you what, if John Gruden was coaching this Jets team, they're not 3-7. They're not. There's no way. There's no way. They're at least 500 right now. Bare minimum. Even if you remove the games they should have won with better kicking, I won't even add a win to that. They are not sitting here 3-7 if John Gruden is their head coach. There's no chance. They're 5-5. D says, man, them players wouldn't respect no Gruden after what came out. Really? What came out? Do we actually know what came out? Did you read what was said 15 years ago? He called Roger Goodell the F word that starts with FAG and then said he's a P word that doesn't actually care about football. I think players would actually agree with a lot of that, by the way. Especially the defensive players who, like, it's a crime to play defense in the NFL. Also, and these are private emails that no one was supposed to see and it got leaked. Like, it's 15 years ago, man. And the guy has since apologized. And, like, I don't know. I don't believe in this no one should get a second chance type of nonsense. SDN says, all great coaches were once first-timers. Meh retreads is backwards thinking. Better than 3-7 is a low bar. Yeah, I agree, but when we're talking about a retread, calling Mike Vrabel a retread I think is ridiculous. The guy's a winning coach. He's not a retread. Honestly, Cliff Kingsbury, you want to call him a retread, fine, but the guy made the playoffs, has worked with quarterbacks. Maybe he deserves a second chance. Dan Quinn, his head coach in Washington, is getting a second chance to look what he's doing. Coaches do get better. Guys do improve. Space Ghost says, Gruden wouldn't have let this get this sloppy. I tend to agree. Stan says, look at the turnaround stories in the NFL. Lions, Cardinals, Commanders. Look at their coaches, young guys. Yeah, and Gannon's a defensive guy too, by the way. The Cardinals coach. You got to hire the right guy. That's really what it comes down to. Bino writes in, his lawsuit is massive. The league is having a big problem trying to explain why only Gruden's emails were leaked and they really want it to go away. Amen. Boomtown says, Michael Vick is literally working as an analyst on Fox. Relax with the throwing stones in glass houses. Great point. I mean, we're really going to play the hypocrisy game. There's a lot of it out there. A lot of it. You know, you had one NFL guy in this town, I won't name names, call Aaron Rodgers the worst person ever in the NFL. When meanwhile, Deshaun Watson is still playing in this league right now. Have you seen what Von Miller has been accused of, or Tyreek Hill has been not accused of, has been charged with in his career? Go look at his arrest history. All right. I'm telling you, John Gruden's perfect. What he did was wrong. He's since apologized, but it was 15 plus years ago. His emails got leaked. They shouldn't have been. And he's the only one that ended up losing his job and all that. He wasn't even coaching in the league at that time when these emails happened. He was a Monday Night Football analyst at that point. And they only got leaked in the middle of the Washington Commanders investigation. The emails, I believe, if I remember the story, I'm going to have to dig back into it now because this is, I guess, a possibility. That's where we're at with this season. The email scandal happened because they were investigating the Commanders. They were sent to Bruce Allen, who at the time was the Commanders GM, or the Redskins at the time, their GM. Comments, questions, super chats, they cut the line. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Appreciate all the Asmaniacs. Hey, if you haven't joined the Patreon, we're nearing 500. Best way to support me, keep the show going, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Thanks to everyone who signs up. Get in the Discord. If you're looking for tickets for Jets Colts, I'm going to give the Patreon crew the first priority to that once we get some tickets hopefully donated by people who can't use them. So we'll make sure we get some real Jet fans in the building who are trying to go. Make something of this awful season. I checked the weather, by the way, 60 degrees and sunny on Sunday. So at least there's that. Like last year, the team sucked and every home game had miserable weather. This year, at least, the team sucks, but the weather's not brutal. I also want to say this. I should have said it earlier in the show, but I got distracted with everything that's gone on. Mike Westhoff, for those who missed the announcement yesterday, Coach Westhoff, who was Sean Payton's special teams coordinator with the Broncos, he had a health scare, and he's stepping down from his role. He experienced problems related to his vision last week, underwent testing on Monday, including an MRI. After consulting with doctors and several positive conversations with Sean Payton, Westhoff made the difficult decision to head home to Florida. Quote, "It's not easy to make this decision, but this was the wake-up call that I needed to put my health first. This team is very much headed in the right direction with a strong foundation and winning culture. I'm grateful to Sean for giving me the opportunity to contribute to a first-class organization and wish the Broncos the very best." So prayers to Mike Westhoff. Great coach, great guy. Longtime viewers of the show have seen Mike come on the show in the past. Love Mike, texted him last night. So wishing Coach Westhoff all the best. One of the best coaches, pure coaches the Jets have ever employed. So shout out to Coach Westhoff, and hopefully he's okay. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to the Lup man. Luppy's next. Hey, Luppy.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, praise to Westhoff. He's a great football mind. It's some of the stuff that we need.
Hell yeah. They need a guy with that mentality coaching this team.
Absolutely. Listen, Jake, 55 years. It can get worse, Jake. It can get worse. We can.
Well, that's the thing, Luffy, right? We talk about rock bottom. Have they hit it? There's still 7 games left. It could get worse.
Right. They could start winning, and then Woody could buy into, hey, he got us the talent. Maybe we give him one more shot, JD. But there's no way in hell we should give him another shot. He's a good evaluator of talent, does okay on trades, but he cannot pick the most important thing, a coaching staff and the head coach. He can't pick those. He's proven it. They've stuck too long with the staff and what they have. They made all the wrong decisions when it came to changing coaches. I mean, that offensive line coach is still on the team, isn't he? He's horrible, right? I mean, it could get worse, but what I'm looking for is competitive. Why can't we be competitive, Jake? That's the thing that frustrates all us as Jet fans. We're not competitive last week, right? Or we just don't show up for a half. I mean, it's very tough to watch. It is one of the hardest watches, especially after the expectations we had for the season. It's just, it drives you crazy. But guess what? I'll still be there. I'll still be watching. And Jake, you'll still be going to the games because we bleed green. And we're still going to root for our team, right? Jets, let's go.
Hey, amen. I mean, we're still here, Luppy. We're still here. I love it. Great shirt, by the way, Lupp.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's go. It's tough. I'm just seeing this from Jeff Ulbricht's presser this morning. He says the Jets will return to fundamentals of tackling this week and be in pads. He also did a tackling presentation for the entire team. That's where we're at. This is such an unserious franchise. I'm betting the rushing yard over on Jonathan Taylor. All right. Maybe it's a reverse jinx. Maybe he'll go under, but, like, come on, man. I guess that's the right move. Like, that's what they're supposed to do, but, like, that's really where we're at. This defense was elite last year. Now we're doing tackling presentations. These guys don't know how to tackle, or these guys have no heart. Right? Because this defense was 3rd in the league last year. Now all of a sudden they don't know how to tackle. It's mostly the same players. Defensive line's a little different, sure, but come on. That's where we're at. Give me a break. The Hamburger's next, followed by Q. What's up, Hamburger?
Hey, what's up, Jake? Good morning, Asmaniacs. Listen, man, to think that we were just a quarterback away a few years ago, it's just crazy. We were quarterback and coaching away, and we didn't even know it. Well, some of you guys probably did. I don't know. It all depends on how this year ends, man. I mean, like the caller said before, I mean, what if we do run out? Not even run out, but we end on a good note, and somebody like John Gruden becomes, wants to coach and stuff like that. We got Joe Davis, Joe Douglas might even stay again. Like, I just don't put anything past Woody Johnson at this point. I mean, who knows? Is he going to go away with Trump? Nobody knows yet.
But even if he does or doesn't, that wouldn't happen until February at the earliest. So he's still going to be involved in the hiring.
I agree with that. But listen, we don't talk about Mike McCarthy either. That's also something that you never know. You listened to him yesterday on the show. He had nothing but good things to say about Mike McCarthy. I know they're boys, but listen, I don't want him coming. But you
can't hire Mike McCarthy. You can't. There's no way they're hiring Mike McCarthy.
Dude, I don't trust this organization with anything. Because if Woody believes that we have the talent, like he said, if he believes that we have the talent, he's just going to look for a coach for next year to ride it out with Aaron for one more year. So I don't want that to happen. That's not what I'm advocating for. But that's some of the things that I see that is a real good possibility with this organization. As much as we want to ship Joe Douglas down the road and shit can him, we don't know what Woody's thinking.
No, we
I
don't.
don't know.
And the next 7 games could change. Look, if they finish 8-9, there is. I don't want to think this is possible, but it is possible. Like it's the GM has built a pretty good team. We just need a better coach. But they should not hire Mike McCarthy. That'd be nuts. For what?
I know.
One more year of a diminished Aaron Rodgers? There's no way. There's no way they hire Mike McCarthy.
But I mean, listen, I don't ever hope for losses. So I'm going to be all rooting for the Jets this weekend. I'll be at the game this weekend.
Me too. I want to go 10-7 until they're done. I'm still rooting for wins. They're still not mathematically eliminated. The AFC is garbage. I don't see it happening, but crazier things I guess have happened in life than the Jets finishing 9-8, making the playoffs, even though they're 3-7 right now.
Yeah. And Alan, to think that John Gruden couldn't get a job and get that straightened out. You just watched an election with Donald Trump, and you see all these other stars that have all these things that happen. People forget about things. The media changes things right that for half of the masses with one report. So people forget about things real quick, and the NFL wants to drop that lawsuit. So for me, I think that's a really, really good possibility for the Jets this year because of that scenario, because of that situation. So, but listen, you guys have a great day. Thank you for having me on. Jake?
Hamburger, all the love. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm still rooting for wins. It's just, I'll tell you what, these losses at this point, they're not going to hurt as much. They're 3-7, So I'm watching these games and they lose. It's more of the same. And if they win, I'm not being sucked in. If they win, they're definitely losing after the bye. We've seen this how many times? That's why I never put a ton of stock in the Texan win. It's why I picked against the Jets against Arizona. I just don't see any path how this team could turn it around with their current coaching staff. They're not good enough. They're gonna get outcoached in most of these games down the stretch. David says, would McCarthy be an acceptable OC? I don't think that would even be acceptable. They need to modernize this offense. I'm not as anti-Aaron here next year as long as they're drafting a quarterback behind them, but they need to modernize the offense they're running. It's no longer what Aaron wants. It's no, you want MVPs with LaFleur and his offense with some of your influence over it. We need to get to that. I think it's only the Jets and McCarthy and the Cowboys that run this West Coast offense at this point. They got to go to what all the other teams in the league are using. I'm not an X's and O's guy. That's why we bring on people who are. But we've done this with Fialco, and he's talked about yesterday just how stagnant and non-creative the Jet offense is. And with Rodgers not having a superpower of mobility to extend plays and put fear in defenses, it's not the same team. Tom writes in, I hope they showed the scene from Waterboy where Bobby learns how to tackle. Now that would be coaching from Ulrich. We did that one, huh? Honestly, when you said Bobby at first, I was thinking Bobby Midnight, but then I know you meant Bobby Boucher. Brutal. Super chat I missed earlier from Bo. Bo, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your support. Alan, yes, I'm coming for you. An NFL coaching job is highly touted, especially if you could be the guy to turn a franchise around. Yeah, and if you look at some of the other openings around the league, it's not like all these other situations are that great. That's why these jobs open in the first place. I think the Jets could still get a qualified candidate. Money talks. It's New York. The team still has a lot of talent on it. You have to decide what your plan is at quarterback, sure, but there's talent on this team. I think 4/5 of your O-line's in place already next year. That's nice. You have a number one superstar receiver in Garrett Wilson. You have an elite running back in Breece Hall. You have a good number 2 running back in Braylon Allen. It's a pretty good place to start if you're talking about an offense. Defensively, you have a first-team All-Pro in Quinnen Williams. Will McDonald's going to be in the Pro Bowl this year. He might make an All-Pro team depending on how these next 7 games go. He's been that good. Jermaine's going to be back next year. Quincy's still a really good player. Jamie and Sherwood, I think you could bring back. He's a nice player. Sauce, I don't think will ever be this bad again. At least I hope not. I'm going to put some faith in him still being a first-team All-Pro level talent that we saw for his first 2 years. There's pieces here. And the right coach, I think, can get a lot more out of this team. I think the Jets are the Chargers a year ago. That team with Herbert shouldn't have been as bad as they were. Mercy says they need a winning culture. Pete Carroll in the front office would help. If he's interested, I'd bring in Pete Carroll in a second. And Pete Carroll could assist Woody with hiring the right people. Dave writes in, you can get tickets for the Colts game anywhere from $10 to $35 in the lower 100 level. They would have to pay me to go. Well, for those of you who want to go to the game, SeatGeek, promo code Jake Asman, you'll save $20. So boom. If tickets are $35, use that promo code and boom, all of a sudden you're getting your ticket for, I'm not good at math, but I believe that it's $15. Not bad. All right, more of your calls right now. Let's say hello to Q, who's on the line. Hey, Q.
What's up, Jake? How's it going, man? My cat wanted to join. I hope that's all right.
Q, I'm ready for your big fight on Friday against Tyson, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been putting out a lot of promo. You actually were the first person that called me Jake Paul, and since then I've been seeing all Jake Paul on my feed. My phone must have been listening, so it's starting to become my alter ego of sorts.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jake Paul is a friend of the show, so I wish him well, but I'm probably going to be rooting for Tyson.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just more entertaining more than anything. But, yeah, first off, love the Knicks hat. Allen, Hawks suck. Trae Young looks like a lollipop that fell on the carpet. So, just wanted to get that out there. I know he can take it, so I'm not trying to be personal or anything. But I guess the reason for my call, I wanted to – and you were kind of alluding to this just now, so it's a bit reductive. But I don't think that this head coaching position is as bad as people are making it out to be, or this vacancy that we're about to experience. I think we can look at a John Gruden, we can look at a return of Rex Ryan or a Vrabel type, and people are worried that, hey, no one actually wants this job. But you hit the nail on the head when you're saying that, we have a lot of pieces in place. The blueprint is kind of laid out in front of us. We know what the capabilities are there. It is a matter of coaching. It is a matter of, can the right person get the most out of these guys? It's not a matter of talent. And I think that there is going to be coaches out there who see a vacancy in New York with a lot of money on the table, with a lot of legacy on the line. If they can break this playoff drought, they pretty much have a head coaching job for the rest of their lives if they want. So, I mean, I truly believe that. And I think that, this position is not as unattractive as people are making it out to be. And the real key to this is you're going to have a person that is willing to handle Aaron's, reluctance to kind of install something that the Packers did when he won. I was listening to your show yesterday and hearing how, he wasn't really that excited in those offenses where he won MVP. He wasn't really enjoying it. And I think that I would need a head coach that can kind of live with Aaron being unhappy every single day, and that makes the team better. So, yeah, I know that's a bit reductive, but I think you hit the nail on the head. This is an attractive spot, in my opinion. You have a ton of talent, and if you can be a good coach and do your job, you're going to make the playoffs.
There's more talent on this team than some of the other openings. Now, the Rodgers thing is a real thing, but I think that's why we got to see how these next – like, what if Rodgers plays somewhat well down the stretch here? And he finishes as like the 18th best quarterback in the league with awful coaching. All of a sudden, can you argue, hey, better coaching next year, defense back to what it should be with the talent they still do have?
Yep.
Can this team go from, let's say they finish with 7 wins again?
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, we're having a similar conversation, but I think the difference is you have better coaching and you're no longer all in for Rodgers. It's, hey, you get a year of Rodgers and you also get to pick your heir apparent at quarterback for long-term success after that.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. I think that, this is like I think a key opportunity for Woody to look himself in the mirror and say, like, I could really alienate pretty much my whole fan base. Cause if they aren't all gone now, this is it. Like, this is your last shot, dude. And I know we can't force them to sell a team. We can't do anything, but we also aren't forced to root for this team anymore. So yeah, it's pretty much a crucial point in the history of this team as a whole. And, I just think have a little bit of hope, guys. If there is any left in your body, like have just a little bit of hope that, there are going to be some attractive people that are attracted to this opening. And let's just hope that they get it right this time.
We got some breaking news here. So I'm going to get to that right now.
Sure.
I'm just
Thanks,
getting
Jay.
it adjusted. Hey, great call, Q. Good luck in the fight against Tyson on Friday. He really does look like Jake Paul. It's amazing. Breaking news here. Hold on. We actually have a sounder for this, which is very specific. Stand by. Do. I can't find it. Damn it. Where is it? Where is the breaking news button? Man, here it is.
Breaking sports news on the Jake Asman Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a quarterback change in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson will start over Joe Flacco, just announced by Shane Steichen. I'm guessing they watched the tape of the Cardinals running through 20 Jets players for 20 missed tackles, and they're like, let's put the guy out there who is a physical specimen against this defense. Richardson has not been great. He can't pass, but he could run. So I said earlier I'd be betting the over on Jonathan Taylor rushing yards. Now we got to be betting, I guess, Anthony Richardson's rushing yards prop too. I mean, I'm telling you, Steichen probably watched the film and saw the Jets' tackling effort against the Cardinals and was like, let's play the guy who can run. Tom, maybe he'll play 3 quarters and quit again. I mean, there's an opportunity for the Jets. Richardson's not great, but do you have faith in the Jets here? I don't. I think the Jets were a 4-point favorite. That was yesterday before this quarterback news. We'll see if the line changes. I would take the Colts with the points right now. I think the Jets are actually going to win on Sunday, oddly. And then we'll have 2 weeks to convince ourselves, well, what if after the bye it all clicks? Don't fall for it, but I'm telling you, some will try. But Richardson now at quarterback. Chris writes in, can you imagine what Belichick could do with this roster if they're still here for next year? Jake, don't send me to the shadow realm. If you're going to hire Belichick, why wouldn't you hire Rex? Seriously. Bill Belichick, career record when Tom Brady's not his starting quarterback is 84-103. That is a 44.9% winning percentage. That's not good. Rex Ryan in his career is 61-66. 61-66. Do the math. That is a winning percentage of 480. So Rex has a higher winning percentage than Belichick does when Belichick doesn't have the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm out on Belichick. He's 72. He hates the Jets. He'd want full autonomy of everything. No, thank you. Rex has a chip on his shoulder. He'd want this job. He's had success at this job. He'd get the benefit of the doubt early on from the fan base. If you're telling me I could have Rex or Belichick, I'm taking Rex. People are going to laugh that aren't Jet fans, but I'll give you the stats. Belichick's record's 84-103 without Brady. Rex went to 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez, went 8-8 with a rookie Geno Smith on a team that wasn't very talented. I'm good. All right. Rex with the Jets was 46-50. With the Bills, he was 15-16. He got fired after week 16 that year, so he was only 7-8. Unreal. Lyrical says, Richardson is the Jets team this year. I quit. I don't know if this is a move that makes the Colts better. I wonder if the Colts thought process is like, if we're not going anywhere, we might as well let the guy play. But they're still mathematically alive. I mean, technically are the Jets, but the Colts have another win than the Jets. The Colts, I think, have 4 wins, right? They're 4-6. I don't know. Maybe Anthony Richardson will be a little winded after running through the Jets defense on the first drive. We'll have to take some plays off. Unreal, man. Rich reminds all to hit the like. Can I remind everyone that if you gift Rich a channel membership, you're going to get an item in the merch store. Also, Rich, since I know you're watching live, I keep forgetting to do this. We're going to wrench Rich up. We're making Rich one of the moderators, as Rich is a part of the committee with Tom Ace and Boomtown to put together the monthly Asmaniac caller rankings ahead of Asmaniac Madness in March. So, Rich, get ready to get wrenched up. He's about to be a moderator. Boom. It has happened. Everyone congratulate Rich on the honor. What does it get you? A blue wrench. Omari, super chat. Richardson will be starting the rest of the season. We lose to this guy. I'm done. You're done now, Omari? I was done after they lost to Jacoby Brissett. Now you're done? I mean, I've been done. Man. A&J Gaming writes in, do you think the Jets will ever get their own stadium, or will it take a lot of winning to finally get one? I don't know if one has anything to do with the other, to be honest. I don't see the path where the Jets get their own stadium. Now, if Woody wanted to earn some good graces from the fan base, he should try and build a stadium in Queens, but that won't happen. David says, Jake, have you already made that Jets win bet? No, I haven't. I do think the Jets are going to win Sunday, though. I have a weird feeling. I picked against them the last 2 weeks. I didn't feel good about the Texan game. I didn't feel good about the Cardinal game. I do think they win this week, though, oddly enough. Zach Johnson says, what is all this talk about Todd Monken and his history with the Jets? Well, he interviewed for the coaching job that went to Saleh a few years ago. And then I think he interviewed you know what? He might have interviewed when they hired Gase. I don't know if he interviewed when Saleh was the head coaching choice. Chris says, why can't you gift from your phone? I wish you could. If anyone knows how to do it, please explain to the audience. You can only gift, I believe, from a desktop. Unless, I guess, if you're an Android user, maybe you can gift from the phone, but iPhone you can't, which is odd. I don't know. But it hurts the channel that you can't gift from the phone, because we got people who always want to pay it forward, and sometimes they can't if they're watching from the phone. So I don't know. Some more of your calls here before we wrap. We'll be back at 4 Eastern with Jeff Parles in his weekly spot. He sent me a text that he's calling out Neil, so I look forward to that one. Ladies and gentlemen, Edward Ziff is on the line. What's up, Edward?
Hey, how you doing, Jake?
What's up, Eddie?
Hey, have you heard about Paulie? Apparently, Paul Esdin has a hernia or something. He hasn't been on. Is he okay? Have you heard from him?
No, I have not. I didn't. I will text him after this. But I know he just had obviously another child, so he's been busy with that. I know he had a hernia. That's
well, yeah. That's why he was off. That's why he was off last week. But I saw a thing from him, I think it was yesterday, said he's taking time off because apparently he's got a hernia. So, I just good wishes if he's watching you today. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. My feelings with GM and head coach. Oh God, I love Joe D, but I mean, he really pissed me off with how he handled the defensive line in this game. I mean, say what you will about the Huff thing. That was like half of one, half of the other with Bryce Huff. There's two ways of looking at that. But the JFM and who's the other guy, the interior guy that we got rid of for almost nothing? I think he was trying to get up with us, and we didn't sign him, and then he went to another team, that kind of shit. What was that all about?
Quentin Jefferson? Yeah, they should have brought him back. He had a good year last year. They tried to replace Quentin Jefferson with, what's his name, Kinlaw, and it hasn't worked. Kinlaw's been bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what was going on with that. Can you hear me? Do I have a good signal?
It's a little choppy, yeah, but we got you.
I don't know if I'm in a good spot. Well, I'm climbing up the hill in the dump, so I'll probably have a better signal in about a second or two as I gain some elevation. Basically, there we go. Basically, my whole thing with Sauce Gardner is, do you remember in the off season when he was practicing with those mittens on?
I don't.
Hello. Yeah, they were doing practices with Sauce Gardner, and he's very handsy. He's always been very handsy. Difference is they're calling it on him this year. Maybe he needs to go back to wearing those mittens in practice so he doesn't start grabbing on people. I mean, I don't know what the hell else to say. But I would say the biggest problem with this team, and everybody's been saying it, and I agree with it 100%, it's coaching. Because Douglas, for whatever mistakes he's made here or there and everything, I mean, he's been an above-average GM. I mean, I'm not talking his record. I'm talking about if you look at the players that we have in this team, how many coaching staffs would say, yeah, I could do something with these guys? I mean, if you remember when Rex first got the job a couple of years back, he was all boasting, I can win with these guys. And that's what's driving him so crazy right now is he knows with this talent, he could win. And it's absolutely making him crazy. He's like, I don't know how you don't win with these guys.
I agree. I would give Rex an interview. I would. I think there's worse guys you could hire than Rex who'd come in, as Joe B said on the show the other day, with a chip on his shoulder. And I think it comes down to the GM and the staff he'd be working with. But like, does anyone actually think the Jets would be 3-7 if Rex was coaching this team? There's no chance.
Hell no, he wouldn't allow it. His whole thing would be, not on my watch. This would never happen if Rex was our coach. Sorry if I'm not looking in the camera, but I'm driving in the dump. See, I'm in the dump.
There it is. What's on the agenda today, Edward? The Asman are dying to know.
I'm just. Wait a minute. Am I supposed to be up here? I don't even know. Anyway, that's my story. That's my lie. I'm sticking to it. I don't know where I'm supposed to dump right now. So let me get off the phone before I get yelled at by these guys.
What kind of dump?
Pointing me. It's kind of a landfill. It's kind of a landfill where we dump the construction material. The company I work for, we do 15 and 20 yard dumpsters for construction companies. We'll work at subdivisions, and so there's a lot of construction material, 2x4s, shingles, sheetrock, garbage, that kind of stuff. And a couple of places we bring it to. One of the places we go to is a distribution center where we drop it off there, and then they load it up with tractor trailers and take them to the dump. And this time I'm actually at the dump itself. So I know it sounds crazy. But hey, they give me $25 an hour to do this, and I'm in North Carolina. So, that's not bad for down here. But I do have a question for you since you're back in New York and everything. I had always thought that a good place for them to build a stadium would be maybe in the Belmont area. Like, is there room where they built the new center for the Islanders? Is there room there for a stadium? I was just out of curiosity. I didn't know if they still had real estate there that they could use.
I don't think so. And plus, like, Islander fans, and I'm one of them, like, there's not enough parking at UBS as is. They gotta shuttle people over from various areas around where the stadium is. So you couldn't do it.
I remember when they first built the Coliseum. I mean, they didn't even have the hotel back then, and there was plenty of parking, and people used to tailgate and stuff. I'm from Seaford, so originally. So I mean, we used to go and watch. We used to go and watch the Nets when they had Julius Erving and Larry Keenan and Billy Paltz and all them. Those were some fun times going to the Coliseum. A friend of ours, his dad worked there, so we'd buy the cheap tickets, and he'd bring us down where there were available good seats. It was really cool back then. Now they're not allowed to do that shit anymore. It's almost a shame because what's the big deal if the seats are available? Who cares? But anyway, I got to get out and do my job, and I'm trying not to be too stupid humorous, but seriously, is there a place in New York where they could put a stadium if Woody decided to? And I'll let you answer that, and I'm going to go. Talk to you later.
Thinking is overrated.
I don't see any spot on Long Island. I think where they should play is next to Citi Field, but I think that ship has sailed too, right? Aren't they building the soccer stadium for NYCFC next to it? I mean, we all know the Jets should be playing in New York, but they're not. It really is amazing, though, how bad MetLife is. And I've been lucky enough in my job. I was in Houston for 6 years. Been to a bunch of games the last couple of years just as a Jet fan, right? Seeing some of these newer stadiums. And then you see what MetLife is, and there's 2 NFL teams that have the New York market behind them playing there, and it's astonishingly bad. The giant AC unit. Like, seriously, every NFL stadium I have been to has been better than MetLife. I'm just trying to think of the ones I've been to in my life. I've been to NRG in Houston, obviously. Lived there for 6 years. I've been to the stadium in Atlanta. I've been to the stadium in Minnesota. I've been to the stadium in Dallas. I've been to the stadium in Vegas. I've been to Hard Rock in Miami. These are all better stadiums than MetLife. I'm sure I'm missing some that I've been to too, but like those are just off the top of my head. I've been to Buffalo too. Buffalo's dumpy, but at least it's like, there's history there. There's character to it. Better view. You have better viewing experience actually watching a game in Buffalo minus the shit fans than MetLife. Now, I'm sure if I wasn't wearing Jet gear and I just blended in with the crowd, it would have been fine, but you get the point. Shout out to Edward, though. What a call. Ladies and gentlemen, I gifted a membership earlier because no one had done it so far, and it went to one of the greats, Big Islander fan, who's a longtime listener of the show, listens to me on the radio as well. So, Big Islander fan, you got yourself a channel membership. If you want one, turn on I want to receive gift receipts in your settings. The easiest way to do that is if in the chat you click on my name and you say, hey, I want to get the membership, and then maybe someone will gift one. Boomtown asked a great question here. Jake, where does authentic poutine rank in your food rankings? It's very high, Boomtown, I will say. Poutine is awesome. I've had it before, but I've never actually had it in Canada. Whole different ballgame. Moneymaker Boss writes in. Here comes the dumb-ass Jet fans. Now they're calling for Joe Douglas to get fired. Let me ask you something. You're calling us dumb for asking for a general manager who is 30 and 63 to not be back next year because he wouldn't be fired. His contract's up. We're the dumb ones? This comment is so stupid. We're not going to send you to Stupid Town. Your day is done. You're going to the hole. Now look what you've done. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the Sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it. CN24. Good God, man. Chris with a super chat. Build somewhere in South Jersey. Call them Jersey Jets. That wouldn't make any sense. South Jersey. Too far away from the fan base. You think people from Long Island and Westchester are driving down to South Jersey? Come on. Stan from Westport's up next, and then we'll do Neil to wrap us up today. What's up, Stan?
Hey, Jay. Good to talk to you again. And thanks for having me. Listen, as far as the stadium goes, I think the reality that people, in addition to what you said, you're 100% right. Citing it physically is problematic, not just with the physical footprint of how large it has to be, but also the road access. But the other big factor in any of these is the subsidies and the tax incentives that these owners get. And they're huge. You're talking about, hundreds of millions to billions, and you got to get the legislature and the governor. It's not easy. So I don't know.
Especially in New York. And
oh yeah.
It's way easier to build stadiums in other parts of the country than it is with all the red tape in New York, New Jersey.
Yep. and the development, there's other things they can do, so it's true. As far as the team, look, I watched the game. It was sad. They played as bad, I think, as they have all year. And what I said was emblematic are those two plays in the second half. That draw play up the middle, followed by Murray's like untouched scamper into the end zone for a meaningless TD. But guys, you're not even touching the ball carrier. You realize that? I mean, if I'm the Jets D coaching, I'm just showing them those two plays as emblematic of how can that happen, to an NFL team? I mean, it's just crazy. And if you're going to get some pride together, I think the big thing too is I noticed all through the year, physically in the trenches on D, the Jets are outmanned all the time. They cannot possibly compete inside. So what they've got to do, I think, is use a little bit more savvy, shed blocks, but you got to make tackles at the waist or below. You cannot arm tackle. You've got to tackle people properly. And that's one thing, if Deion Sanders would ever consider coming here, which I think he's going to end up at the Cowboys, he would at least teach the defense how to tackle because he was very good at it. So, we'll see what happens. But the other thing, last thing is all these folks talking about these relic coaches. And I'm not saying Rex is not a good idea interim wise, but the long-term solution for totally rebuilding the team and making them contenders for a sustainable period of time is in the young people. If you look around on the teams that have turned it around, Lions, Commanders, Cardinals, etc., they're really run these days by the 40-somethings, even 30-somethings. That's the future. You're not going to get the Belichicks and Grudens of the world to build something sustainable, in my opinion. You got to take an assistant from somewhere that, has the savvy and bring them on. And I would take them from one of those programs.
I don't disagree, Stan, but I'll say, Gruden's only 61 if you use him as an example. He's not old.
But what about making him GM? See, maybe make him GM.
But that was the problem with the Raiders. Their drafts were terrible, right? Him and Mayock worked together. Gruden, I think, had final say on personnel. And look at some of their draft picks. They were awful. You don't want him to GM. You want him to be the coach.
Yeah, but if coaching is very time consuming, right? As you know. So if you brought Gruden in as director of football, and then he gave the coaching duties to.
He wants to coach, though. That's the thing. He wants to go. I want him to be the coach. This guy's been a good coach in the league before. He's won.
Yeah, no, he has. Listen, he's got the track record. I can't disagree with that. But I still think the trend is to the younger set. But listen, this is a multi-year program here. This is not going to happen overnight. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. But here's the thing, too, Stan. Good call. Dan Quinn in Washington, second time around. He's only 54. He's not old. Cliff Kingsbury, who I would interview. He's got experience. I'm sure he's learned from his first go-around in Arizona. It's not like he was a total disaster. They made the playoffs one of the years he was there. He's 45. He's a young guy. Dan Campbell's only 48. So I'm in on that. But I don't think Gruden's too old. To your point, they do need a football guy, though, 100%. I like the idea people have thrown out there about bringing in Pete Carroll to basically be the football overseer, president of football ops, and have him assist with hiring a GM and coach. I think that makes sense. But Gruden as GM, that would be a mistake because his drafts were brutal with the Raiders. Honestly, that was the same with Bill O'Brien when he took over full power in Houston. Bill O'Brien, the coach, was not terrible. They won the division a bunch. Now, I wouldn't hire Bill O'Brien. I think he's limited. But he's better than anything the Jets have had since Rex. But the problems Bill ran into is when he assumed full power, then it became a disaster. Boomtown, 100% need a buffer between Woody and the new GM. Well, I feel like you just need a proven football guy there that could be like, hey, I'm going to help you. Trust me. These are the right people. And Woody has done that in the past, right? He tried with Casserly and Wolf and that led them to McCagnon and Bull. They really have tried everything to hire the right people, and nothing has worked. But you got to keep trying. It was the same thing with the Knicks until Dolan eventually got it right with Leon Rose, who then hired Tom Thibodeau. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. City Bert says, minus 110 for AR not to finish the season with an injury. I think he wants to play. I think he wants to, he's not having a good year, right? But I think Aaron will take pride in the fact that at age 41, he played all 17 games coming off this injury. He's going to look for things to motivate him. I think playing every game motivates him. Now, if they're completely out of it, do they maybe shut him down and play Tyrod the last couple of games because we're not going to see Jordan Travis? I don't think he's healthy. All right, fine. But I think it was up to Rodgers. He wants to play all 17 games. Now, will he finish? I don't know. I mean, he's always one hit away. We've seen him at times get hit, and you're like, he's not getting up. Chris says, change the name, get rid of the bad mojo. Calling the Jets the New Jersey Jets will not do a thing, Chris. We thought changing the uniforms would help, right? They actually have good uniforms. They still stink. Ladies and gentlemen, one last call before we wrap our first show of 2 on the day. A reminder to all to join the Patreon. If you haven't already, I want to thank the audience for your support. Also, I got a couple questions about where you can get Jake Asman merch. Another reminder, every merch item you want is at jakeasman.com. Hit the shop tab at the website, and you can take full advantage. 15% off if you're a Patreon member. Citybird says, Dolan ran the Rangers just fine because he laid off of them. He also hired the right people. He hired Glenn Sather, who hired the right people, and they had a long run of success. Being a good owner is about spending money, but also hiring people and letting them do their jobs. That's what makes a good owner. Neil, wrap us up today. Hello, Neil.
Well, they must have heard my rant from yesterday, the Colts coaching staff. So they're not going to wait till the second half to put Richardson in. They're going to start the game with him.
That's right.
So that was probably a pretty good idea that they took that because, oh, my God. How are we going to stop? Do you understand that this guy weighs 10 pounds more than Josh Allen? And he's faster. He's faster. 6'4", 244 pounds. And what did he run at 40? Didn't he have some like ridiculous times in the? I didn't see him like running like a sub 4.5 40 in the combine or something. He had like the best numbers in the combine, this Richardson, didn't he?
He's a freak athlete. He obviously
the freak,
right? He struggled doing everything else that the quarterback needs to do. He's still trying to develop.
Could you imagine now? Now they watched our defensive tape. Now Clemens is not going to set the edge when he does a RPO. To Jonathan Taylor, right? And he goes like this, and then he runs this way. Once he gets into the secondary, do you imagine Sauce trying to tackle him on a full head of steam?
Yeah.
Might as well not even put. See, here's now what you have to do when you're a defensive coach. You better counter this guy and just put big guys in there. And just put linebackers as defensive backs and have guys that are going to tackle because he's not going to throw the ball. He may throw the ball a couple times, but they're going to do the same 12 personnel that's been working against us at the line of scrimmage, right? They're going to have Richardson and they're going to have Taylor in the backfield. And they're going to do this, RPO, little dump, little screen pass to Taylor. And they're going to abuse us, Jake. I can't see this is going to be a bigger laugher than the Cardinal game. The only difference is it's not going to be as high scoring, but they're going to score 24 points and they're going to eat the clock. And then we have to hope that we could score on a couple of possessions and get score 24. But stopping this team, and you know me, I'm Mr. Positive. Even Allen said, I even rubbed off on Peter Castro. But at the end of the day, oh God, this is really going to be ugly. I can't stand this shit. We have such a small defense. Tackling, Ulbrich doing tackling drills, 10 games into a season after he's been coaching his team for how many years? We're going to tackling drills. And in the meantime, one of the guys said to him, one of the reporters, well, if you go full speed on tackling drills, aren't you going to risk hurting guys like the guy you're tackling, or a guy that's doing the tackling? Aren't you worried about hurting? But we have to do a balance of that. What's the balance to that? Either you're putting your pads on and you're doing a bone crusher drill where both guys are going to get whacked, or you're doing no tackling. You might as well leave the pads off and do what you usually do.
Yeah, I actually do think they're still going to win Sunday, oddly, because I just don't think the Colts are that good. And I think the Jets, will play a lot better. They'll have some pride after last week. But if they lose, no one should be surprised. They can't stop the run, and they're facing a running quarterback and a really good running back. But the Colts are just not that good. They don't have great weapons. Their defense is not great. It is still a very winnable game for the Jets.
Well, I will say this. The Colts offensive line is certainly a lot better than the Cardinals offensive line. When you take Quentin Nelson and put him at left guard instead of who the hell would they have? They had the guy from Will Fernandez from the Giant. They had a bunch of throwaways. And if I see Beacham's big fat ass again, that guy's been a freaking right tackle for 60 years. I can't believe Beacham's still playing. He looks like a upside down player, and he's still effective.
Jet legend, baby.
Right? A Beacham is when I see him, I go, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's still playing. And that team pushed us around on the offensive line. Colts offensive line is good. Oh shit.
They haven't been good this year, though. I mean, they've had issues.
But this is what a good head coach does. Who's their head coach, the Colts?
Shane Steichen, who I think is a pretty good coach. I mean, last year he won.
Smart, man. Let me tell you something. He knows that
3.5 point favorites are the Jets, so the line moved a half a point with the.
In our favor?
Yeah, the Jets are favorites.
I might want to put $10,000 on the Colts.
Warning, warning, Allen alert. Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning, Allen alert. Hide the children.
Neil,
Allen is here.
Neil, because Jake is too chicken shit to call you out, it's going to be my turn. Neil, it's time to pay the piper, Neil.
Yeah, what was that bet? What was the bet we were supposed to
50 memberships, Neil. 50.
If what? If what?
We made the bet. If the Jets lost by more than a touchdown last week, you would pay 50 memberships.
Cardinal game?
Yes, we did, Neil. Neil.
I didn't remember this, to be fair, but I'll let the chat verify Allen.
Neil, before Jeff Parles kills you this afternoon, I think it's my turn to kill you. Neil,
did I do it during Jeff Parles? Were we on during Jeff Parles' show?
I was on during Jeff Parles' show. Yes. You were, I think, at the beach.
I remember you saying you're going to make 100 memberships if something happened.
I said 100 memberships if they made the playoffs, which is never happening. And I said 20 memberships if the Jets would win by more than 7. And then, because you're a cocky bastard, you said, you know what? I'll say 50 memberships if the Jets lose by more than a touchdown. So, Neil, there are a lot of people.
I will pay up. Jake, you got to go back to that show and re-pull it, and I'll definitely put the 50 up.
We got to find the tape. We got to find the tape.
Yeah, I got to see the tape. I don't know if that sounds
Neil, I do agree with you. The idea that the Jets are 3.5 point favorites this Sunday is laughable.
They shouldn't be. They
You know what, Alan? You know what? Every week I tell my son, he likes to gamble. I don't gamble on. I actually lost $750 last 2 weeks, so I shouldn't say I don't gamble. But the reality is had a little fun. But every week he's like, the Jets this. I'm teasing him with that. I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? I said, you're betting the Jets. You might as well just throw the money in a basket at church. I said, forget it. I said, stop betting the goddamn Jets. But I know one thing. I know if I put my money up and to me, you're right, Al. It makes no sense that we're favored in this game with Anthony Richardson's going to be bullying us all over the field. We're not going to get better at tackling It's not the tackling, it's the size of the players.
The
Again, I'll
Colts
say
are
it.
the
I'm
Colts are
going
going
to
to
bring
run
film
for
out of my
about.
first grade fumble game when I used to carry 6 guys around on my back when I weighed 100 pounds and they were all 40. It's the same concept. Anthony Richardson, the guy weighs 245 pounds.
Neil,
He's
the
going to run
Colts.
around the side. Wait a minute. And CJ Reed's going to stand there, 180. He's going to run at him like this, and he's going to kind of get injured or something. Who the hell knows? I don't.
Neil, the Colts are going to run for about 225 on Sunday with Jonathan
That's
Taylor.
not a right.
At
That's
least
not a great. I
225.
mean,
yeah.
well, look, they still could run for 225, and we could still win the game.
I don't
mean,
know.
I love Jake. I mean, there's a lot of teams. I heard a team. What was the team last week? We got run on for like 180 yards, still won the game. That happens, Alan.
I mean,
Our
I don't.
offense-
If they give up 230 rushing yards, they're not going to win. But they somehow
that
force
means that they're going to
turnovers.
have the clock the majority of the game.
Yeah, they're not going to win if that happens. I actually still do think the Jets could win this game Sunday, though. I really do. They're at home. I think when a team plays as bad as the Jets did the previous week, there's typically a bounce back just from a pride standpoint. Like,
right?
Players don't want to be embarrassed that way. So I do think.
What do you think, Alan? What do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
I think
What's
they
going to
lose
happen?
Sunday.
Oh shit! I was so pissed off. Your Lions were about to get by the Texans.
That
I was like,
building was.
please, I don't believe I wanted the Texans to win. I was like, I know it doesn't help us if the Texans won, but I was like, come on.
The idea that they won. When
I
they
could get it
threw
right in
5
Alan's
picks.
food. Right or
I was
wrong,
in the
Jake?
building. Neil, I was in the building on Sunday night.
Oh, that would have been even better.
They should have lost. I mean, they got through 5
they should have
interceptions.
lost. Come on.
Neil, if you bet 10 grand this week, I would bet it on the Bills. That's the bet this week.
The Bills are going to take a step back. Who they
Bills
playing?
They'll beat the Chiefs at home this week. The Chiefs' magical ride in Buffalo ends this week. I do. That's
the
regular. That's the bet.
What does it mean though? It's a regular season game. They got to beat them in the playoffs.
I know. No, I think they'll lose. I think they'll lose in the playoffs, but they always beat the Chiefs in the regular season. But again, I'll take the Colts plus 3.5. I would. I would.
Are we double or nothing? The membership bet?
No, because I think Neil and I are on the same page on this one. I think Neil, you think they're going to lose this week.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick 3 games.
Okay.
I'm going to pick 3, and you're going to pick 3.
Okay.
And
I'll take the Bills minus 2.5.
If I lose to you on my 3 picks, what's 50 memberships? $250?
You already owe that one, so that's enough. So we'll do 20, okay? 20 memberships. You already owe 50. That's enough. We'll do 3 games. I'll pick.
Wait. One thing I got to say when I want it on this show, and I want it on tape. Jake, record this. If the Jets make the playoffs, you're putting a goddamn 100 memberships.
I said that. Yeah. Again,
that could
as
still
I
happen.
said last week, I'm not like your boy Rob. I actually
what a
pay
party
membership.
that would be. Jake, oh my God. If we made the playoffs, Alan, you would never come back on the show.
I would. I hope they do.
You
but
disappeared already, but we would find you. Rob would go find you down in Texas for the 100 membership.
I got it. Don't worry, Neil.
Jake would go find you.
It's recording, baby. Don't worry. It's on the record. The tape is being saved.
Neil, you could pick the 3 games, and I will go head-to-head against you, and I will beat you.
Okay, you ready?
I'll take the Bills minus 2.5.
The Bills are favored by 2.5.
They are.
I got the Chiefs on that one. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's your other 2?
See, the Lions are too much, especially they're 14-point favorites. That's too much. But they're playing Mac Jones, so I don't know what to say about that.
Oh God.
Yeah. We agree on the Jet game. That's the problem. We do. We both
I
think
thought Neil was picking the games.
Okay, Neil, you could pick the games. Go ahead. Any 3 games.
We each got to pick, Jake. What are you talking about?
Well, I thought, are you just going to fade Neil's picks, Alan? Is that your point?
He could pick the games, and I'll see if I disagree. But the problem is we both agree on the Colts this week.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I would not take the. Like, what do we get my Caesars at?
We'll give Neil time to come up with 3 games.
Yeah,
he
Neil,
likes.
you come up with three.
3.
It's going to take me 2 seconds. Hang on a second.
But Neil, this afternoon when Jeff comes on, I want the 50 memberships in the chat. Okay.
Oh, shut the hell up. Pittsburgh Ravens. I don't want that game. All right, I'm gonna take the Steelers +3.
Where's the game? Is it in Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. And let me tell you something. I'll give you a little statistic here, Al, to show you my picking prowess.
Sure.
What do you think the last 10 games that Pittsburgh and Baltimore have played together? Who do you think has the upper hand and who has the best record out of those 10 games? And keep in mind,
we have the tape. We have the timestamp. It was on the Joe B episode after the win over the Texans. 58-minute, 20 seconds. Neil says he will pay 50 memberships. So it is on the record. There it is.
That was the Texans. What are you saying?
No, that was after it was after the Texans game.
Jets win over Texans.
You reacted on the Jets win over the Texans, and then you said 50 memberships against the Cardinals.
Neil was believing in the Jets after the Texans win. He fell for it again.
You became a sucker.
So you didn't answer my question. With now in the last 10 games, which is 5 seasons, which Lamar Jackson has played a majority.
I think Pittsburgh has been better than them.
What do you think the record has been in 10 games, Jake? What do you think?
7-3.
7-3 in favor of who?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you looked at it on Google.
I did not. I am not. I'm not
It's
looking at anything else.
7-3. Gave you time to look. I see it through your glasses. You got Google on. Look.
I got Google. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I got the Steelers.
I'll take the Ravens +3. I'll take the Bills -2.5. I'll take the Ravens +3. And because you always bet the Jets.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna in my third game. I'm taking Jacksonville +14.
I'll take the Lions -14.
Got it, baby. All right, that makes it fun.
All right, so we're head to head.
We're doing that for 20 memberships, right?
20 memberships. But we got to
no matter what happens, you son of a bitch.
Okay, but we got to. You have
the
to
people win, Neil. The people win.
Neil, you have to pay the 50 this afternoon. The 50 has to come out this afternoon.
That's great.
When
Jeff
is
Neil.
on, I want the 50 memberships. Okay, Neil.
Hang on a second.
You don't have to do 50. That's ridiculous. It's okay.
Why? You made the bets.
I can't ask
Hold
Neil
on.
to spend $250 if you
Hold on. If I made the bet, people would have been on my ass.
Yeah,
Trust
because
me.
people like Neil. We don't like you. That's the difference.
Well, what about I give my 4 season tickets away for Sunday? That's worth,
That's worth about $10, by the way.
I can still get $250 for them. I believe it or not.
Who is paying $250 for that?
My seats are like cushioned seats in a 45-yard line.
You mean $250 each or $250 total?
No, it might be total.
4
Wait.
seats. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
total.
$75 a piece. I'm sure I can get that for 4.
Does that include parking?
Wait a minute. I get emails. This is your last chance to get season tickets for next year. I'm getting shit from the rep. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I said, this is your last chance to spend another 10 G's. It cost me $10,000 for 4 seats. They want me to spend $10,000 plus the bump up, plus I got to pay for parking, plus all the other bullshit. I mean, I got to be the biggest jackass in the world to do that.
Neil, one final comment.
You're sending me this. In the meantime, wait a minute. This is the best part. This is what they said to me. You think you can't make this up? The girl says, I said this 2 weeks ago. I said, I am not renewing my season ticket. So she says to me, you can't make this up. She goes, we will buy 3 of your games back at face value. What do you mean? Oh, you're gonna buy it? You're gonna give me $3,000 back? Yes. tickets.
I didn't listen. What did you say?
That goes towards your tickets for next year. It's like they're going to give me the money. They're just going to give me my tickets at face value to go. Actually, right now, it might not be a bad idea. I'll be honest with you, right, Jake? If they're going to give me, wait a minute, think about it.
Who's the quarterback next year?
Come on, Alan. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback.
He is not going to be the quarterback next year.
Yes, he is. Stop the bullshit.
I think Jake actually agrees with me on that one. I don't think he.
No, he
thinks
doesn't.
I don't know. I could
not
see.
agreeing.
I could see a bunch of scenarios. I think what I would do right now is I would probably bring Aaron back and draft someone. But I think there is a scenario where he's completely gone. I think it depends on these next 7 games. If they finish with 3 or 4 wins, I think he's gone. If they go 8 and 9, I could see him, or 7 and 10, I could see him.
Alan, let me just say this to you, Alan. He's going to have a game. He's going to have at least 2 or 3 games in the next 7 where he's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. What do you think? He's not going to do shit the rest of the season? He's Aaron Rodgers. And with Devontae and Garrett, he's going to have a game where he throws 3 or 4 touchdowns. If he throws for 25 touchdowns this year, right? How many does he have now, Jake? 10
15.
or 11?
15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Okay, he's going to have 25 to 30 touchdowns for us and maybe 10 interceptions. And he's going to throw for 3,500 yards. At the end of the season, they're going to say, we sucked because our defense sucked and we have shit coaching. Isn't that going to be the story, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rodgers has been particularly good, but I don't think it's crazy to think that he's here next year with a rookie behind him they draft in the first round.
And Neil,
Wait a minute. Now, let me finish. The other thing that makes me laugh about the chat is, nobody wants to come coach for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. What are you, nuts? We have a roster here that is very, very good with a Hall of Fame quarterback, 2 great receivers, and a coach. If you had a good coach, I'd rather step into that situation with a good roster like Harbaugh did with the Chargers than go to some shit. What do you want to go to the Raiders with no quarterback? Come on.
Neil, one final comment. The word here in Dallas is that Belichick is going to take the job here. He will be the next coach here.
Listen, I got to tell you something. Jake, this guy had a super chat with you. He wanted Belichick. I told you. I like Belichick.
He's coming to Dallas.
I'd rather Rex.
He's coming to
Belichick can't
Dallas.
win without Brady.
Let me tell you something. Here's my prediction to give us more misery. Belichick's going to go to the Giants, straighten that team out.
No.
They're going to be in the Super Bowl in 2 years.
He's not winning anything with the Giants. Who's their quarterback?
No, he's coming to Dallas. He is.
That would be a logical place for him to go.
Yeah, I think that's where he's ending.
Those 2 guys.
They get along, even though they're both hotheads. They get along. They do. They do. And Ben Johnson is going to Chicago. That's the other one.
Maybe great coaches. You don't know, Alan, how good these coordinators are going to be as head coaches. Like Jake said, it's 2 different things altogether. One thing is not the other.
I can see Ben Johnson in Jacksonville, by the way, if he thinks that he could do it's
He's
Trevor Lawrence what he did
They
with
said
Goff.
he's intrigued by coaching Caleb Williams. I've been reading a lot of that.
One coach that I thought was really a top 5 coach in the NFL, who I can't believe how bad he is coaching, and that's Doug Peterson. I mean, what the hell happened to him? He was a great coach.
Maybe the game passed him by. It happens.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, God almighty, he did it with the Eagles. He won a Super Bowl for them with the worst quarterback ever. And Trevor Lawrence, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Doug Peterson, man. Jacksonville, what a fall from grace.
Gentlemen, I got to run. All right. But this was fun. I bet
50 memberships this afternoon, Neil. 50. I want it out. 50 memberships.
You have the games marked down for Sunday, the ones I just picked?
Bills minus 2.5, Baltimore +3, Detroit minus 14. Neil, I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Don't worry.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you should be the GM and the offensive.
Neil, it's been a pleasure. Now pay up your bet, okay? Have a good one.
Oh, what a show. What a show. Jeff, 4 p.m. today. We're back. People want memberships. People are pressuring Neil. Neil, you don't have to give 50, though. I think it's crazy. That's crazy. Neil does a ton to support the show. I can't ask him to spend $250 if he made a bet with Alan. I mean, anyway. I will say this, though. I did get a text from Jeff Parles at halftime of the Cardinals game. Assuming this doesn't change, I'm destroying Neil this week. So get ready for that this afternoon. 4 p.m., we'll talk to Jeff. Before we go, I'm excited about this. Longtime viewers of the show know we have some of the most talented musicians, rappers, artists that support this channel. Blitz BK is one of those. He put together an all-time rap track talking about the state of affairs with our New York Jets. Here is the Jake Asman Show debut of Blitz BK's Everything Must Change. Talk to you guys at 4. Go Jets.
Everything must change someday, I know, oh yeah. I know you won't believe, but darling, I love you so. And everything must change someday, I know, oh yeah. Yeah. Everything must change someday, I know, oh yeah.
Gotta change, gotta change.
Everything must change someday, I know, oh yeah.
I know you won't believe me.
Darling, I love you so.
Yeah, back again, but it's been the same since 93. I feel the rain, feel the pain like I'm Joey B. I saw Coslet, Carol, Cold Tight, Billy P. Belichick outgrow, and I'm still a fan, no silly me. Many of us so silly we haven't seen a chip since our dads was in Little League. Now we literally dads with kids in Little League. Next playoff victory, tell me who the hell knows, it's a mystery. I lived through the fake spike, so I hate life. I saw quarterback legends and they failed twice. Legend has it, name is sold his soul, time to pay the price. Homie gotta know, time to take that flight. Gotta make this right. This is us against the gods, we can't win this fight. Gotta take what's ours, that just grip too tight. Against all odds, gotta rebuild this right, yeah.